Sergio Perez was furious over the way he lost third place late on during the French Grand Prix. He'd driven well and managed to hold off George Russell for much of the race, but a mistake by Red Bull's new nemesis, the FIA, cost him the position. The FIA have responded, but Checo won't be happy with what they have to say. Today, we're going to fill you in on how George Russell made the most of the FIA's mistake and why Checo was left defenceless. The late virtual safety car that was caused by Zhou Guanyu retiring on the side of the track on lap 50 should have been a fairly uneventful occurrence, but it wasn't. When the safety car came out, Russell was 0.6 seconds behind Sergio Perez. When it ended, he actually dropped to 0.87 seconds behind the Red Bull driver, but that didn't make a difference as he got his foot down first and disappeared past the Red Bull driver. Both drivers were lucky to get to that point in the race though. The battle between Perez and Russell erupted on lap 41 when Russell dive-bombed the inside of the Red Bull at turn 8, forcing Perez wide in the hunt for third place and the podium finish. Checo later defended his actions and said anything else would have ruined both drivers' races, but at the time, George Russell was furious. "Yes, it was a good battle apart from turn 8, said Perez. "If I do the corner, we will just have ruined our races. But other than that, it was a good, tough battle, good race from George in that regard." George Russell shouted over team radio at his engineer and then Toto Wolff that the Red Bull driver had turned in on him at the corner, looking to get Checo a penalty that would have gifted Russell third place. "Come on guys, we need to do something. He went straight on," the Brit told his pit wall. His race engineer disagreed, telling his driver he was not ahead. And as Russell continued to rail against what he saw as a bad call, Wolff's voice came over the radio. "George, keep your head down, you can hunt him down," said the Mercedes motorsport boss. After the race, Russell explained his delight in helping secure Mercedes' first double podium of a troublesome season, with Lewis Hamilton finishing second behind Max Verstappen. But he also took a swipe at Perez over the incident, stating that the FIA rules when a driver is on the inside are pretty clear. "I was pretty disappointed not to be able to keep that position," he said. "I felt it was my corner. I was down the inside, I had my front wheels in front of his rear wheels, and to the letter of the law, it was my corner, and he squeezed me a bit onto the curb, and he went wide and kept his position. I guess we'll talk about it after, but nevertheless, these things have a way of working themselves out, and the VSC restart was pretty tasty." So what was it about the VSC restart that Russell thought was so tasty? The VSC came into play on lap 50 of 53 as Zhou Guanyu parked his Alfa Romeo with a technical issue. After the near collision on lap 41, Russell was after any opportunity to make a move on the Mexican. Normally, when the VSC is going to end, drivers are given a message on their steering wheel saying VSC ending. Then, at a random point 10 to 15 seconds later, the flags go green and racing is allowed again. During Sunday's race though, the VSC ending period went on much longer than Checo was expecting. It wasn't until almost a minute after the initial safety car ending message was sent that racing resumed. "It was really unfortunate what happened with the virtual safety car," he said. "I got the message that it was going to end out of turn 9, so I went for it. But it didn't end and I had the message saying it was going to end all the way through turn 12. I was just too close to it. It seems like George had different information and he was able to prepare better for it." When the VSC did finally end, Russell was much quicker to respond and immediately passed Perez and took third place. "It was totally wrong with the system. There was something going on and I got caught out with it," said the Red Bull driver. "It said it was going to end out of turn 9 and it only ended out of turn 13. The FIA responded to the questions about the end of the VSC period being handled abnormally, stating that everything happened as it should have. A second VSC ending message was sent due to a hardware issue, they said in a statement, which led to an automated switch to backup systems that worked exactly as they should in that scenario. The same information is supplied to all teams concurrently. The VSC ending countdown time to the green light being displayed on the trackside panels is always random. From the FIA statement, it seems that Sergio Perez was just slow to react when the racing restarted. Not exactly tasty tactics from George Russell as he said, but he was there to make the most of Perez's mistakes as he has been all season. Russell explained his tactics after the race, saying, "I knew that would be a massive opportunity for me," he said. "Checo was a bit all over the place during the whole VSC, so I knew that if I timed it perfectly and I got a run on him, I might have an opportunity. I think he was kind of braking to make sure he was still above the delta time while I was accelerating, and it gave me that run to overtake him. So that was satisfying. I just saw the opportunity and went for it. Great to slip past him. I was a bit disappointed not to keep the position when I did my first overtake on him. Looking at all the statements, it's hard to know if Checo was thrown off by the VSC not ending when he thought it was meant to, if he was confused by the switch to a backup system, or if George just caught him napping. The Mercedes driver had been pressuring him for much of the second half of the race, and maybe Checo was just mentally drained. Red Bull team boss Christian Horner believes Perez had the pace to fend off Russell over the final 3 laps without the VSC issue, and wants to discuss it with the FIA to understand what happened. Checo struggled a little bit this weekend with tyre degradation than we've seen previously, Horner began. And what was frustrating for him is there was an issue in race control with the safety car, the VSC, because they couldn't turn it off, so they had to do a reset. Just talking with him, he said he wasn't getting the delta in his car, so he was bang on his delta. George either preempted it but was within the delta, or maybe the information to the 2 cars was different. We have to go and explore that. Yeah, it was frustrating because I think he would have had the pace to hold him off for a double podium. Nevertheless, it's still important points today in both championships. Horner's mention of tyre degradation is definitely worth looking at. Mercedes were excellent at looking after their tyres at Paul Ricard thanks to the upgrades they bought in Austria and then to France. Russell hadn't been able to get past Checo all race, but late on, with the Mexican driver's tyres failing and the Brits still holding on, George had a grip advantage that made defending incredibly hard for the Red Bull driver. Red Bull might wish there was different data sent to each car, but at the moment there's no evidence to support that. It just seems that it was an incredibly unfortunate situation that Checo just didn't react to quickly enough. He might be furious at losing out on a podium position, but at the end of the season, it probably won't affect either championship. Checo ended the weekend in 3rd position in the Drivers' Championship, 7 points behind Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, who had yet another weekend to forget. With the Ferrari engine suffering from reliability problems, Leclerc will inevitably take more grid penalties this season, and Checo should be able to stroll to 2nd place just by finishing races. In the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull are now 82 points ahead of Ferrari, and that lead is only going to get bigger. What will annoy Red Bull the most in the long run is that this is just another issue with the FIA that has cost them. Christian Horner has been finding problems with the FIA all season, and a lot of them have been very legitimate complaints. While this incident does seem to be a genuine error that was outside of their control, in a few months' time that will have been forgotten, and what will be left is a sour taste and a missed podium. What do you think of George Russell's restart as the VSC ended? Was it incredible driving by the young Brit or just poor reactions from Sergio Perez? Let us know your opinion in the comments section down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye-bye.